Well, there was plenty of bad, as you all know, to talk about in the Rockies 2025 season. But today, we're not talking about any of the bad. We're going to talk about some of the good. We're ranking our top moments from the 2025 Rockies season and talking a little postseason baseball. That's all coming up next on the DNVR Rockies podcast. Welcome in to another edition of the DNVR Rockies podcast, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code DNVR365. Place a bet for $5. You can get $150 back in bonus bets. We are knee-deep into the 2025 postseason. October baseball is in full swings. The ups and the downs. We got a lot to talk about on this show when it comes to that. And we are ranking the best moments of the 2025 Rockies season. We're going to talk a little bit of front office as well because, you know, there's not any news to talk about, but there is some storylines to get to on the Rockies front office side. So we got a packed show today, and we have to start the show by talking about what happened last night in the Phillies and Dodgers game. I was doing a college volleyball game. I had a broadcast last night, so I was not watching it live. And you texted me and said, that has to be the worst way to end a baseball game. And so I was trying to picture in my head what you could possibly mean, not even understanding which way it was going, if it was Dodgers, if it was Phillies. So I was coming up with guesses in my head of what you meant by that. I watched the clip of what happened. I never expected it to look like that. That has to be the worst way to end a baseball game.
100%, because leading up to that, I mean, that inning was insane. There's like walks and the bases finally get loaded, and the whole game has been. These playoff games are either blowouts with very high scoring, or it's 0-0, 1-1
pitching
the
goals.
Whole entire game. So like, there's no in between where it's like, oh, you have a 5-3 win. Like there's blowouts happening all over the place. And then these really tight games, as we talked about in MLB and just the MLB playoffs, how important every pitch is and every at bat is. And they loaded the bases, and it was like, okay, the game might end here. And then you see a weak ground ball to the pitcher, like, oh my God, he got out of it.
Yeah.
And
2
then
outs.
Chaos ensues. It was the Philadelphia Rockies on the field there, because Realmuto's pointing to first base. Corkering's like fucking fumbling the ball. He makes a terrible throw, and it's like this in all sports. We saw this last year in the hockey playoffs with the Avs, where it's just like they scored and our season's over, and it happens in a second, and that's how it was for the Phillies, because you're watching the game and you see a ground ball to the pitcher, and not even like a hard ground ball, just something weak, and you're like, oh, it's over, or, they're going to get through. We got another inning. You don't even think about it. Relax for a second. And then you see him fumbling it. You see the chaos. You see the throw. And all of a sudden, as a Phillies fan, you go from, okay, we can get this to game 5 and get back home and maybe win this series and continue this World Series run, to everybody sucks. We have to fire everyone.
Your season is over.
Season's over. It's like, it's insane at the blink of an eye how that can happen.
Well, Phillies fans are going through it right now, and our friends at PHLY are also going through it. Have you seen their clip of their watch-along that they were doing when this happened? Dion, pull this up. We have the PHLY, our friends over at Philadelphia, their reaction to this play. Let's see it.
Got it, back to the back. Go one, go. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my God. Oh my God. Go to first. That is how you lose. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's easily that's the least fun I've ever had watching sports.
Yeah,
that is so
that was
true.
Us the whole 2025 Rocky season. That's literally a Rocky season in one quote.
Yeah.
This is the least fun I've ever had watching sports. Except for what we're going to talk about today. Those were fun.
Yes, we had some fun moments, but oh my God. I just, to wrap all of this up, first of all, a couple thoughts on this. First of all, for all of you, and I'm not judging anyone who is upset at Kerkering. It was obviously a bonehead play, right? He panicked. And the moment was too big. He panicked. But I was hearing people say, like, you should understand the situation that you're in. You should know where to go with the baseball. And my response to that is, look, this is the biggest moment any pitcher could ever be in. You're in an elimination game. Your season's on the line against the Los Angeles Dodgers. There's bases loaded, 2 outs. If you get a strikeout or you get an out, your season continues. If you give up a hit or, God forbid, you walk a guy, your season's done, right? You're either the hero or you're the guy who lost the season. And you're only up there thinking about pitching. My job is to go and pitch. Like, I guarantee you he was not thinking of what happens if a ball comes up the middle. He's done PFPs his entire life. I'm sure 10 out of 10 times he makes that play under any other circumstances. But you have to understand the situation and the context. There's no way he was sitting there thinking about what to do if he gets a ball up the middle. He's thinking with all of his might how to do his job as a pitcher in that very moment. So, look, it sucks. He's going to think about that the rest of his life. Like Dion and I were talking about this before the show. Like the football version of this is like your team marching down the field, scoring a touchdown to tie the game or to, almost take the lead, and your kicker misses the extra point, or you drop the ball at the 1 yard line as you're running into the end zone. Like, that's the equivalent of what we saw, and it's going to live with him for the rest of his life. Kudos to that guy for talking to the media after the game. Obviously, that had to be the hardest conversations he's probably ever had. I've had plenty of tough conversations with Rockies after almost every single game this year, it felt like. I mean, Austin Gomber, having no hope, having plenty of conversations with Schaefer or guys that you knew were going to get cut, or Senzatella after, giving up 10 runs in the first inning, right? Like, we've had plenty of bad post-game pressers that I've had to sit through, and it looked to me like Kerkering did a really good job of being a professional, being mature about it, and handling his business. So, yeah, just tough, though. Just so tough for him, and I feel for the kid. Dodgers are moving on. We'll talk more about the playoffs as we continue on in the show. But we gotta start by ranking some of our best moments of the 2025 season, because I know there was not a lot. There were not a lot of good moments coming out of 2025. But 162 games, it's a long season. There's bound to be some good.
We can get 10 out of this.
We can get at least 10. And I was putting this together, and I was like, you know what? There was some really good moments in here. Yes, again, We're grading this on a Rockies curve. I'm speaking in the context of the Colorado Rockies. But there were some electric moments in 2025. We'll start with number 10. And I put a combination of this one. That was the Zach Veen blunt celebration early in the season when we thought Zach Veen was going to be a big thing, or the Diamondbacks, where the Rockies beat the Diamondbacks. This was early in the year. I think it was like 17-16 or some crazy score like that. It was a wild game that I don't even think a lot of people were watching, but it was a fun game. So that's what I got for number 10. Number 9, Warren Schaefer ejection, which I actually thought was kind of low on my list. Do you agree with putting it that low, given how the season went? That was an elite moment of 2025.
Yeah, I think that it is a little bit low, especially considering they won that game and they came back. I think that was the game that Arcia homered in the bottom of the 8th or the top of the 9th to tie the game, and then they won in extras. And it's like Schaefer fired the guys up, gets ejected, and then they come back and win the game. And like we've talked about, there was 43 wins all year, so we could almost have we could almost just have win number 1, win number 2. Like that's how little of excitement we had. But Warren Schaefer getting ejected, I think there's. Looking at this list, that was one of the maybe 3 or 4 real national newsworthy moments. It
went viral. It was a viral moment from our Colorado Rockies Warren Schaefer. Yes, Conga says, how hilarious is the Rockies' history if one of their greatest moments happened in 2025? I'm going to make an argument, but by the time I get to the end of this, that'll kind of give you some context into what I'm talking about here. But so that was number 9, Warren Schaefer getting ejected. Number 8, benches clearing versus San Francisco. Now this wasn't like necessarily a great moment for the Colorado Rockies, but it was fun for the fans. It was one of those things where you were like, hey, this was kind of exciting. You felt like you got a little bit of spice coming out of this, and this has been such a boring season, so why not? No punches were thrown, but it was another little viral moment for the Rockies.
Right. Like if you're
good or bad.
If you're going to get your ass kicked all season long, all we ask as fans and people watching the team is to show a little bit of fight.
Yeah.
You know, like the Jets fans right now in football are going through it. They're 0-5, but because they're getting their ass kicked every game, but they're also like giving up. You don't want to look like you're giving up. And a benches clearing brawl in baseball, I know it wasn't a serious brawl, but it was good enough. It was good enough. It was on a Rocky scale. It was a really good brawl. Quotations for those of you not listening to this audio version.
Well, number 7 on my list also includes the Giants. It was the walk-off against the Giants. One of just, I think, 2 walk-offs for the Rockies? 3. It was 3 walk-offs for the Rockies. They had, and all 3 of those are on my list, by the way.
Yep.
So that walk-off against the Giants was there. Walking off the Dodgers. Oh, no, there's 4. Okay, so we got 4. Walking off. No, it was 3. It was 3. Did the Rockies ever walk off the Yankees?
No, they just beat him like a 3-1.
Okay.
They beat him like a drum in game 1 of that series.
All right, walking off the Dodgers was number 6. That was the entrance to Warming Bernabel, by the way. His walk-off against the Dodgers was when we thought Warming Bernabel was the greatest name to ever play in a Rockies uniform. That was number 6. Number 5, sweeping the Marlins. And I put that ahead of those last 2 walk-offs because if you remember when the Rockies swept the Marlins, nothing good had happened. I mean, barely anything had gone the Rockies' way. And then you go on the road to Miami and you sweep, albeit a bad team at the time, but a team that in the end ended up being a little bit better than people thought. You swept the Marlins. And again, with the Rockies curve that we are grading on here, I will take that. That comes in at number 5.
That was what, I want to say late May or early June.
It was early June,
There was no hope. And I was dumb enough to think that a sweep of the Marlins may turn their season around. Not to the point of winning, 80 games or being in the playoffs or any of that, but I thought that would kind of propel the Rockies to be like, oh, they're not going to be the worst team in history, which they weren't, but that was the kind of the first moment where you're like, it dug you out of that deep, deep dark hole where you thought there was no chance that they weren't winning 43
You got to watch consecutive games where the Rockies played competent baseball. That was electric. Wolfgang in the chat says, not having the worst record in Major League Baseball needs to be on the list. That's, I got to put my hand up and take responsibility for this one. I did not include that on this list. That has to be on the list. I totally agree. That was one of my favorite moments of the entire season. Maybe the way I could look at that is that, like, maybe for the casual fan that didn't mean as much. For the true diehard and sicko Rockies fans out there, that obviously meant a ton to us. But for the casual fan, maybe that wasn't as big of a deal because they just didn't really realize it. But that's a good honorable mention there.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Maddie in the bar, and she was kind of giving me shit for the picture we posted that night of me holding up the banner. And that made it to like DraftKings Sportsbook, Barstool. I didn't realize viral moment. I didn't realize how big that moment went. And then I was looking through the comments because she sent me the post because she's doing the total Italian thing in the background. Like, it's not a good photo of her at all, but we didn't care. We just wanted the
It was
banner.
all Rockies, baby.
All we needed was the banner. And all the comments in there, obviously you've got the, you can tell the typical like, oh, until they sell the team or don't go to the games because that's why they don't sell the team. All of that, yes, we get it. That's we're past that. But then all the people were like, Colorado fans are so fucking awesome, and I was like, yeah.
I actually have a buddy who lives in New York, works at a completely non-sports related company in New York, and he said that his friends at work actually were talking about that the fact that we raised the banner in a random business office in New York, no connection to the Rockies whatsoever. So that has to be, that's a great little honorable mention there. Number 4, and this play specifically has to be one of my favorite plays in franchise history. It's not the play that I'm talking about, or it's not like, the greatest moment in franchise history, but it has to be up there because it was just incredible. It's historic, but the triple play. We forget that the Rockies turned a triple play in the early stages of this season when nothing was going our way. And out of nowhere, it was kind of a boring game too, if I remember. And out of nowhere, the Rockies just turn, I think it was a 5-4-3 double play or triple play.
Yeah, it was a quick quick ball to
McMahon.
McMahon to
Estrada, I think.
Who even was playing second base at
Yeah.
that point.
Who knows?
I was at that game.
Or maybe it was
actually.
Amador.
And Felix in the comments said he was there too. So we got that at number 4. But yeah, triple play. I can't recall. We definitely had the Tulo unassisted triple play back in the day for those real Rockies diehard sickos.
that was incredible.
But yeah, seeing I remember watching the game and I was like, you're when you watch a baseball game, especially when you got a kid or you're just there and you're not like in the press box dialed in, you're kind of paying attention. But I saw him hit the ball and I was like, wait, why is he going to second base with this throw after he tagged the bag? Like normally if it's just a double play, you'd go tag the bag at third and you throw it to first. And then I was like, I kind of like hopped out of my seat. Like, oh my God, they're going to turn a triple play. This is electric.
Yeah, and Scott, I agree. It just felt like everything, it didn't feel like that big of a deal. And then you realize, like, this was a triple play. You never see triple plays, right? That's one of the most rare things to happen in baseball. So that was crazy. You got to add that up on the list. Final 3. We got to hit our first break of the show. We will hit the final 3 best moments of the 2025 season. And I know a lot of you guys are asking, why have the Rockies not interviewed any candidates for their new general manager spot? I'll give you my take on that as well as Spencer's take after this next break. Well, I want to give some love to our friends right now over at Shady Rays. Shady Rays, if you are heading out to just leave your house, leave your apartment, wherever, you're just going outside, you got to have a good pair of sunglasses. You know that. You live in Colorado. You're used to the sun, right? But you got to make sure you have a good pair of sunglasses, and Shady Rays is the place to go because they can get you the sunglasses that not only look good, you can customize them. They can look however you want them with the color schemes, whatever. But they also are great pairs of sunglasses. They're durable, so durable that if you end up breaking or losing your sunglasses, they'll actually replace them. They'll send you a new pair of sunglasses.
Shady Rays came in the mail yesterday.
Oh, let's go. See, electric. I like that you went with the kind of, the basic black, and it looks good. It's classic.
Yeah,
basic is the wrong word.
Putting
Classic.
on a new pair of sunglasses is so elite because mine gets so scratched up that I put these on and I'm like, holy shit, this is so clear.
Yeah.
And I got my mystery pair. Those are also fire, which was exciting because I opened the bag and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to get here.
I love it. You can customize those sunglasses. So if you're going to a Rockies game, maybe you get them in all purple. If you're going to a Broncos game, maybe you can get them in all orange. Either way, Shady Rays is the place to go. And right now, we have teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com. Use code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. Shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Also want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Toyota. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR and of the Colorado Rockies, and we are a Toyota show, not just because they are a huge sponsor for us at DNVR, but also because that's literally all we drive. I drive a Toyota, he drives a Toyota, you drive multiple Toyotas.
I've got 2 Tundras in my driveway.
One of them, was basically our DNVR truck. The other one is your actual Toyota Tundra. I've driven Toyotas my entire life. I cannot say enough good things about Toyota. Toyota has so many reliable vehicles that will last you forever. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. My Toyota that I'm selling before I upgraded has over 250,000 miles. Whichever way you decide to go, whether you're going into a new truck, maybe you want to get an SUV that can have a car seat in the back, whatever you're into, Toyota has the vehicle for you. They've got so many different makes and models that can fit your needs, your lifestyle. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. All right, final 3 best moments of the 2025 Colorado Rockies season. Starting at number 3. It has to do with our friends over in New York. Not the New York Mets that beat us basically every single time they played us. No, the New York Yankees. When the Colorado Rockies, early in the season, beat the New York Yankees in their first game of the series against the New York Yankees at home in Coors Field. The Rockies, I think, were like 4-20-something at the time. It was bad. It was really, really bad. It was hopeless. The Rockies had been eliminated from the playoffs in the month of April.
We were already in spoiler mode for other teams, and it was April or May.
And the Rockies played the big bad Yankees in Denver at Coors Field and beat them. And I felt like the baseball world collapsed in that moment. The Rockies looked. It was unbelievable. It felt like a World Series.
Yeah, and my wife's parents were in town that weekend because we went to the game on Sunday. She's a Yankees fan. And Friday night, I was just letting her have it because the Rockies won. And it was such a Rockies win because you didn't expect it at all, which you didn't expect to win any of the 162 games this season. And they go out and they pitch really well. I think that final score was 3-1. You only allowed the Yankees to score 1 run.
It was a playoff type game.
And then you turn around on Saturday, it's a chance to win the series, and you lose 13-0. Like you will have a 10-run fifth inning, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, back to the real world. But we got to live in an alternate reality for a Friday night at Coors Field against the Yankees.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, number 2 on the list, and this is a big one. You could argue this might be my favorite moment of 2025, and at least the most impactful when you're talking long term. Number 2, best moment of the 2025 Rockies season was when your Colorado Rockies drafted Ethan Holiday. It was there. It was in front of them. It fell into their laps because everyone thought Ethan was going to go number 1, maybe number 2 overall. And next thing you know, he's number 4, and the Rockies have the 4th overall pick. And the Rockies did the right thing and picked Ethan Holiday. He is the future of our franchise. I got to watch him hit a home run to the Jack Daniels terrace in batting practice this year. You could have ended the season right there for me, and I would have been happy.
Very much a move that in the moment was, we were on the watch along for the draft. We hoped it would happen. It happened. And hopefully the bat signal of good decisions to come, because in reality, on a Rockies scale and for what we've seen the past couple of years, everything that's happened after that game off the field, meaning front office decisions, drafts, whatever, has been in our eyes a positive thing. And that's all we can hope for at this point, that we keep taking positive steps, not any more steps backwards, steps forward. And that was the hardest step is the first one, they always say, but that wasn't hard. It was easy for the Rockies, but now it looks like they're continuing to travel up the stairwell onto positivity and making the right decisions. And it starts with Ethan Holiday, started with drafting him, talking to Matt, having Ethan Holiday at the Friday night rooftop game, Rockies win, like the savior of the franchise, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. And this is my maybe controversial number 1 best moment of the 2025 Rockies season. A game that, while it doesn't matter franchise-wise from it's not a game that got them to the postseason by any means. When you look at the history of Major League Baseball and some of the craziest games that have ever taken place, literally in the history of baseball, this game will come up now in those lists. When you talk about the history that the Rockies set in so many bad ways this year, the Rockies, for once, were on the right side of history, and that was their comeback win against the Pittsburgh Pirates. They were down 9-0 in the first inning. It was during our Friday Rooftop Club, and there were people showing up halfway through the first inning and saying, "Oh my God, it's 9-0. What?
Over.
Like, oh, it's over. Like, what are we doing?" And the Rockies, throughout the rest of that game, I mean, they never took the lead. They were just down. They get a couple home runs, but they were still down. And then in the last inning, they come back, put 4 runs on the board, and they win in historic fashion. I think it was 18-17. Was that the final score?
Yep.
Unbelievable. That has to be one of the craziest games I've ever watched in my life. And again, I get it. It doesn't mean anything long term, but it was just historic. It was fun. It was crazy. It was viral. Number 1 best moment, coolest moment of the 2025 season.
And there's so many things we could do. We could literally do an entire hour podcast on that game specifically. There were so many different things that happened, but Brenton Doyle, who was scuffling for such a long time and was finally starting to get out of it, ends up hitting the walk-off homer off of the seat. And it was like almost an unbelievable night.
Yeah.
From the standpoint of like, you got to think 10,000 plus people left in the 5th or 6th inning at that point. We were, obviously for a Friday Rooftop Club, we're going to hang out for the whole game. I had a Friday night, no kid. I was enjoying myself. I was like, I'm staying till the end of this, and the Rockies, for one time in the season, made it very worth it.
Yeah, and they were playing the Pirates, so it's not like it was a crowd of Cubs fans or Dodgers fans. I mean, it was a pretty Rockies heavy crowd, and I go back every once in a while when I'm feeling down about the Rockies, which is a lot. I will go back and watch the replay of Brenton Doyle's home run, and it feels like a playoff. I mean, it like the crowd pop was real, and the 30,000 fans that were there to watch the Rockies, albeit because it's the Pirates. No one really cared about the Pirates. They were like on their feet. I mean, it was just, that was as close as we got to Rocktober. And
you're that meme of that guy that's laying in bed, like doing the phone with watching Brenton Doyle. That walk-off home run.
Yes.
You're like, if I'm feeling down, I just replay me a little
I really
BD walk-off homer in that game. The emotions of that game were insane.
I get emotional like watching it because it signals how fun this team could be if they were actually good, right? Baseball is a crazy sport. There are bad games, lots of bad games for the Rockies, but there are also good games where they looked good and where they played well and it was fun, and baseball was a good sport to watch that night. And that was one of those nights, and that was a lot of fun. But good times, not a lot, but there were some good times in 2025. So it's nice to look back on some of those good times. But we got to talk about the here and now. Right now, the Colorado Rockies are currently in the midst of a front office flip. And we found out a couple days ago that Zach Rosenthal, one of the assistant general managers for the Colorado Rockies, resigned. So I want to talk about that first before we change gears and talk about some of the front office stuff, because there's also been some storylines specifically why the Rockies haven't interviewed or began interviewing front office candidates yet. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but we got to talk a little bit about Zach Rosenthal first. So the common theme so far in the Rockies moving on, parting ways from GM Bill Schmidt and now Zach Rosenthal, is that both of those people resigned. I've seen a couple people on social media say, this says something about the Rockies that these people are resigning. A real baseball club would fire these individuals. Do you agree with that? Do you feel like the fact that these people are resigning is an indictment on the Rockies organizationally, or is this just kind of the writing on the wall and these people are just kind of getting out before they recognize that someone new is going to come in and change things into their desired outcomes?
Yeah, I do agree with it. I think I agree with the people's takes. It's a little soft on the Rockies to not fire these people, but without being entirely sure, because none of us will ever find out. I mean, maybe next year, we can get with Patrick and get with Troy, or who's the other
Thomas Harding.
Thomas Harding. Good God.
But I don't even know if they know. I mean, we're just not privy to these conversations.
Right. But I will tell you, if you think that they're actually resigning because they just are done with the team and they weren't told to resign, you're probably crazy, because that was what happened. It's soft of the Rockies to not fire them, but at the same time, they're continuing on the path that they've always been on in terms of, the insular hires and the kind of stepping down movement that their guys are doing. And to be honest, like your next point, I'm just going to kind of get there. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care how it gets done. Clean the front office out, and that's starting to happen. And I don't care if it's resignation. I don't care if it's, they left for another team. I don't care which you notice that's not happening. So obviously nobody's hiring these guys away, but I don't care how it's done. Let them go, get them out, no matter how you have to do it. And, I've been in a managerial position in my life in a business, and it's not easy firing people. It's very uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable time. And then,
sure.
and it's just my small job at the time. I don't have to put out a press release and
you don't have to
tweet
talk
it
to the
out
media.
and talk to the media about why I fired that guy. I just
Yeah.
said, he sucked at his job, so I let him go. But yeah, I do not care how it gets done. The fact that it's getting done it's an indictment on the Rockies, but not that they're so inept that these people are just quitting. These people realize that they're part of the ineptness. They're creating the problem.
Yeah.
And the Rockies are also telling them behind the scenes, like, you're done. We're everybody out here that doesn't have ownership stake that would have to sell the team to be done.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Everyone that
is
was
out.
hired.
Everybody
Everyone that
that's
was
hired and getting paid to do a job that was clearly not done well the last 3 years is done.
Yeah.
So I don't care how it happens. Like, yes, it's a little soft. Would it be nice if the Rockies came out and said, we fired Rosenthal and we fired Bill Schmidt? Yes, but in the end, they're not going to be part of the team next year, and that's all that we needed.
Yeah, and look, it's tough because I do feel like this, like you said, the reality is it doesn't matter either way. You're right. The Rockies are turning a new page. They're looking to 2026 with hopefully a new outlook and a new face, and an organization that looks a lot different in 2026 than it does in 2025. That's already started. But I also think even if the Rockies aren't behind closed doors telling Bill Schmidt, Zach Rosenthal, hey, you guys need to resign or we will fire you. Like, I don't know if that conversation's even being had. I wonder if it was probably had with Bill Schmidt, but with Rosenthal, I wonder if this was him just getting out in front of this new person, this new GM, being the one who comes in and fires people. Because the Rockies might not be firing people right now because they're like, hey, we're going to hire someone to come in, and that person, it's going to be on them to then fire the people that they want to fire and hire the people that they want to hire and all those kind of things. And so, in Rosenthal's case, maybe he sees the writing on the wall, just like in politics, like whenever a new president takes office, they bring in all their own people, right? They change everything. They bring in all of their own people to do the jobs that they have in place. The same can be said about a brand new front office. The new GM, the new president of baseball operations, whoever that ends up being, is going to come in and they're going to audit the entire Rockies organization, and they're going to say, this is how we want to do things. This is how it needs to be done to be successful. If you are not the person that we need for this, we're going to relieve you of your duties and we're going to bring someone else in. So I think Rosenthal probably was getting out in front of that. And he might not be the last one to do that. He's probably not the last one that has done that. We just might not have heard of some of the other ones publicly. But yeah, it's interesting. And I think the bigger part, though, that we got to hit this next break and talk about after the break is we found out through Thomas Harding's article, which Scott just brings up, that the Rockies are not interviewing anyone yet. They have not begun the interview process. And from the quotes in that article, they haven't even really begun the search process yet. Why not? What's the holdup? Let's touch on that when we come back. Well, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time. If you are heading out to watch some college football, hey, the Buffs are back in town on Saturday, correct? Tomorrow?
They are tomorrow. I will be up in Boulder.
Yeah, if you're going out to watch some Buffs football, maybe you're trying to enjoy some of the misery that's going on out at CSU. Maybe you want to watch some UNC football or some of the other sports and football games around here. You got to use the Game Time app. Game Time is perfect when you want to get out and watch the best college football there is to offer, whether you're here in Colorado or anywhere else. This isn't just a Colorado thing. Game Time works no matter where you are in the United States, and the Game Time app is perfect for getting any sports tickets, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, Avs are back in action, because they've got a great app that makes it easier to get tickets. They've got zone deals. You can select favorites, so you can actually see exactly the types of tickets that you like to get, the types of tickets that you want. You've got seat views. They've got the lowest price guarantee, and they also have their incredible Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use that code DNVR for $20 off. Tap Ticket Go. Download the Game Time app today. Also want to give some love to our friends over at Bet365 because it's postseason baseball time and there is never a better time to use the Bet365 app. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Deposit $10 and you can get a whole bunch of cool opportunities with the Bet365 app. And Spencer, do you have a postseason bet for us today?
I do, and this is kind of I'm not going to get a lot of love being on a Rocky show for this bet, but I placed this bet 2 days ago, and it's a fun, I love season-long bets.
Okay.
So it's a fun little bet. I'm sorry, Rockies fans. I had to do it. I know what's going to happen. Also, you're getting a 50% profit boost on Tigers Mariners tonight, so I will be using that at some point. But the bet that I currently have locked in for the rest of the playoffs and going into even this adds a little Nuggets and Avalanche into it, which is kind of crazy but fun. So I have the Dodgers to win the World Series, plus 160. I know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. The Colorado Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup and the Denver Nuggets to win the NBA championship. That is $20 to pay $5,000.
That's wild.
So once the Dodgers gets done, we'll see what the cash out is. But the Avs look like a wagon, and the Nuggets look like a wagon coming into the season.
Dude,
so I just was like, I want to place a World Series bet, but I don't want to just place it on the Dodgers plus 160.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's get some odds in here. Let's throw the Dodgers, Nuggets, and
my
Avs.
God.
So we could be getting to next June. We'll be in the middle of a Rocky season. They'll be 20-74, and we can be talking about the fact that I might win a massive $5,000 on the Avs and Nuggets.
If the Avs and Nuggets both win championships, there's going to be a hell of a lot more winning going on than just you and your $5,000 payout, because that would be
double parade. You can end my life. You can end it. You can end it there.
that would be incredible. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. See why it's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Why have the Colorado Rockies not started the interview process? I feel like we have this conversation over and over every single year. And well, maybe not every year, because the Rockies never do anything every year when it comes to this kind of stuff. But this year, we had this conversation when Monday, the first Monday of the offseason officially hits, and Bill Schmidt still has his job. And then Tuesday comes around, Bill Schmidt still has his job. And finally, Wednesday comes around, and then they put out the press release saying that they've parted ways with Bill Schmidt. You and I were screaming at each other, saying, why are we taking so long? Things are moving. Well, here we are again. I wouldn't say I'm as ticked off, but there's a little bit of a head scratching going on as to why the Rockies are not making decisions. Other teams are. Other teams are hiring their front office. They are getting their front office locked in place. Yes, I understand that the Rockies are citing, according to Thomas Harding's article, they're citing some of the contractual situations that some of the possible front office candidates could find themselves in because their teams are still playing. You talk about the Mariners, you talk about the Brewers, you talk about the Blue Jays still being locked into a World Series hunt and being in the middle of a playoff race. And so contractually, there are some, I don't know, legal stuff that like, you know, the team has to give permission to receive an interview or to do conduct an interview when that team is still playing. But again, other teams are making decisions already. So I guess I just say our take on this a couple days ago was, hey, we expect the Rockies to probably make an announcement after the World Series is over, probably within that first week or so after the World Series. But I assumed that they were at least doing interviews, right? And from Thomas Harding's article, it was just kind of, it seemed more like, hey, we're just kind of doing our research side of things right now. We're not even really thinking about interviews yet. We're just preparing. We're prepping. Are you comfortable with that? Do you feel like that's a big deal, or are we getting upset for nothing? Like, what's the situation there? It
makes me a little nervous, but I'm falling right in line with Scott here in the comments, because if you think about the Rockies' decisions and looking at this article, and one of the, you know, the pieces of it is, this is the first time the Rockies have done a search for a head of baseball operations that just has been like an outside agency, whatever, anything outside the organization since 1999.
Yeah.
Were you even born in 1999?
I was 2.
Okay. So yeah, like your entire lifetime, the Rockies have just quickly under the table promoted a Bill Schmidt and
hence the worst season in the history of baseball this year.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm Dan O'Dowd and these other guys. Like, yes, they had a little bit of success in 17-18, and there's been some success with the Rockies, but I'm going to take the stance from the purple glasses, with my purple glasses on, saying that this is something that they're really looking into and really trying to figure out. Like, they're not rushing to a decision. And it may look like they're dragging their feet a little bit, but at the same time, it's an external search. We know that the interview process hasn't begun yet. Hopefully that just means that it's a Brewers guy they're locked in on. It's a Mariners guy they're locked in on. I'm going to take the high road right now and just believe that with Walker Monfort also having to kind of learn
No. Correct yourself.
Walker.
Thank you.
With Walker and his dad, Dick, Walker learning the ropes of how this all works, you know, because he's been quickly ascended his way through the organization from working on like the grounds crew, and then he was director of, getting the York Space Systems thing in place and corporate sponsorships. And now he's got to figure out how to hire a baseball guy. And yes, that's concerning. We all know that's concerning. You don't have to be smart to realize that where you watch the Rockies operate the last 20 years, that 25 years, that's concerning. But you hope that they're taking their time and they're figuring out maybe a way to do this that's outside of the box. Because let's be real here. The way this new president of baseball operations, GM, whoever it is, whatever he does, if he wins, it's going to be because of outside the box thinking. So let's start here. And like I said last pod, if we get this one singular hire correct, if Walker and crew get this one singular hire of a baseball operations leader correct, they can allow him to do what he does and change the product on the field that we watch every week. Like you can still deal with the stuff in the front office and the sponsorships and all of that stuff. And the Rockies are good at selling tickets and they're good at having a good ballpark. Yet we know that. And that's part of the frustrating part why the product on the field isn't good. But this guy that they hire is going to be the reason that the Rockies are good, ideally, hopefully, in the future. And so get this hire right. I don't care if it takes a little bit longer. Get the right guy.
We all know how unique of a situation it is to play and to compete in Colorado. The elevation, the organization, all of those things. And I think one of the things that stood out to me in Thomas Harding's article, if you haven't read it yet, it is free and available on MLB.com. Thomas does great work. But it was the fact that Walker's saying all the right things. Now, obviously, action needs to follow that. I'm not saying he's off the hook because he's saying the right things. The Rockies in the past have said some good things and their action has not followed that. But so far, Walker has said the right things. He's recognized that, that the ownership, the Monforts, need to give this new person the agency to be able to go make their decisions, to be able to go and make the decisions necessary to build a team, to trust them, to not be hovering over, to not have the Dick Monfort decision to sign Chris Bryant for $182 million or whatever it was because he just wants to save face. Like, no, that needs to be a front office decision, not an ownership decision. So the fact that Walker acknowledged that there needs to be trust there is a step in the right direction. Again, still without action, but it's a step in the right direction. It's the right thing to say. I think Walker, to me, seems like he has a better understanding of the proper way of doing things. Again, without seeing how any of this has turned out yet, it seems like he has a better direction of where the Rockies organizationally need to go to get back to being at least competitive again. I'm not even talking playoffs. I'm just saying like not the joke of Major League Baseball. And look, I get that it's still Colorado. You've got to change all of these optics and whatever. But like you said, the hardest step is the first step. And I think so far, Walker, not last name Monfort, just Walker, has made a good first step in the right direction. He's got plenty more to go. But
the best step
but
for
I think
him to take
it's a good start.
This is the path the Rockies are going down. You just do this and go that way. That is the way to fix what's been going on the last 5 to 7+ years at 20th and Blake. And we trust Walker as of now until he gives us a reason not to. And I can't wait for our emergency pod when we hire this new guy because I'm going to do a sick amount of research into this guy very quickly and just put my whole life expectancy.
Spencer's going to study more than he did in college and high school.
I'm going to be hyped because it's change. It's the Rockies are starting to change and new. And there was a comment way earlier. I think it was from Conga Hydra, but we talked about this last pod. So if you want the actual answer to that, you can go back and watch that podcast from Monday. But he said something to the effect of like how many people have the Rockies called and then they've just laughed about the job.
And hung up. Yeah, I saw that.
That's not a thing, dude. That people want this job. It's very out there that there's a lot of smart executives. We read the exact tweet that would want this job. So that's not the issue. Now, would they want it from a lack of spending perspective from the ownership and maybe not, you can't be the Mets and just go out and buy every player that you can possibly get your hands on.
It's a problem.
Yes,
you have to solve it.
Yes, exactly. But you have a lot more problems here that you have to solve. But the idea, and we'll say it again, maybe we'll have to say this every podcast for the offseason, the idea, until we hire a new GM, the idea that people don't want this job is false. This is a good job in a good city with a baseball fan base that wants to be good.
Yeah.
This is not going to be not selling out a game. I'm looking at you, Cleveland, not selling out a game in the middle of a Tuesday in the playoffs at home. Like, that won't happen here. That will not happen here. This city is ready for a good baseball team, and this guy is going to be an absolute fucking hero if he brings us back to the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. I did the last thing on this whole article. I did see that Walker was talking about, the equation, basically. Like, in the interview, it sounds to me like the Rockies are really looking for someone to come in and have an idea that the Rockies can say, hey, we like that idea. Let's go let this guy try to figure that out. So it's really just about who has the best idea. And we can sit here all day. I've tried so many times, and I've had so many conversations where I've tried to solve the Rockies problem. Oh, do you go out and you find ground ball pitchers? Do you go just get a bunch of power bats to come to, there's all these different ideas of how do you solve playing baseball at elevation with a very limited checkbook compared to other markets. And I don't have the answer to that. But it sounds like the Rockies that's the first question, maybe even the only question the Rockies are asking in these interviews. So maybe we do a show about that where we say, what does that interview look like? We'll do like a mock interview. Say, you're the one applying for this job. How do you solve the Colorado Rockies? How do you solve the Rockies problem? Because God, there's a lot of ideas out there, and I don't know which one is the one to choose. But we got to pause real quick. Just our last break of the show. After the break, I want to answer a couple questions that I've been seeing popping off in the chat. We'll get to that, and we'll talk a little postseason baseball that's coming up next. All right, that was easy, simple enough. I want to get to Scott's question real quick, because Scott asked an interesting question where he said, what if the new GM comes in and wants to trade away Goodman or Tovar or Doyle in the offseason? Do we still trust him? I'm going to answer this as simply as possible. Yes. 100% yes. When the Rockies hire a new GM, like Spencer just said, all I'm thinking about is how do we go from being the worst team in the history of baseball to changing that direction completely. And you're probably not going to be able to do it with just a bunch of cushy, comfortable moves. There's probably going to be some discomfort, whether it be taking a risk on a couple players or possibly taking a chance on getting rid of a couple guys. And if that's the decision that comes up, I'm going to trust it. Again, until proven otherwise, I'm going to blindly leap headfirst into whoever says they can solve the Colorado Rockies until they give me a reason not to. So, yeah, it sucked to lose a Goody or a Tovar or a Doyle, but the reality of that is we had all three of those players that you just listed currently on the Rockies. They are still on the Rockies. They were on the Rockies in 2025. They were all relatively healthy for most of the season, aside from Tovar a little bit. And the Rockies still lost an insane amount of games with all three of those players. So if you think you can build something better with new players and you need to get rid of those guys, then I'll be on board.
100%. Yeah, and the Rockies have made a lot of decisions in the past couple of years that aren't in the fans' best interest, and they shouldn't really care. There was a few decisions this year they made in our best interest of like calling up Dolander, calling up Karros, calling up these other guys that we were like using all these cards that we talked about to like, get out there and get some people back in the seats and get some people excited for the product on the field, which was very hard to do this year. But I hope that if they make more decisions in the future and whoever this new president of baseball operations is making a decision that the fans aren't on board with, it's because it's an uncomfortable decision that hopefully changes every decision that's made in the next 2 years is hopefully for almost 2029, 2030. That's literally how we have to look at this, because if they keep trying to make these Band-Aid fixes, it's just going to continue to be, you have to tear it all the way down to the screws, and that's what this guy might do. And granted, Hunter Goodman may be the one guy where it really hurts, but you have to trust that, like, if somebody's going to overpay for Hunter Goodman and give you 3 good prospects, and you're building for 2030 or whatever it ends up being, like, you have to trust that those guys are going to be the guys that help you win when you want to win versus winning meaningless games in the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Doyle, I think, would also kind of hurt a little bit from a fan perspective. But again, the Rockies lost 119 games with those 3 players. So if you've got to get outside your comfort zone and move on from a couple of those guys for the long-term gain, so be it, right? That's hopefully whoever we hire, hopefully we have enough trust in them to go make those decisions. And hopefully the Rockies organizationally have enough trust in them to go make the right decisions. Eric, I actually do probably think the Rockies will hire their new person in November. You have free agency starting 5 days off after the World Series. The GM conference, I believe that's what it's called, or GM, meetings or whatever it is, starts, I think, the 10th of November. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's in that Thomas Harding article. But according to Walker, and I kind of agree with this, the Rockies aren't really too focused on that. They're focused on finding the right person. So I agree with that. I don't think the Rockies should have any specific dates in mind. I just think they should be focused on finding the right person. However, I do think they should, they shouldn't be waiting around, right? There should be conversations being had. There should be people being contacted, or, if people are contacting them, vice versa. I'm not in a hurry to fill this spot, but I would like to see, I'd like to see the wheels spinning just a little bit. If that's probably my best take on that.
Yeah, because we got excited when after Bill Schmidt had resigned, we got the exciting news of different names just popping up.
Sure.
And then we got
we all
excited
played
from
that game, yeah.
And so it will be exciting when we get news of actual interviews. And I'm going to be patient for about another week, I think is about the time, and where I'll be like, all right, let's hear a name. Let's just give
me a name.
Yeah, give me
somebody.
Name. Give me somebody that's, give me a flight tracker of a guy flying from Milwaukee Airport to Coors Field, or Seattle Airport.
Some random guy gets a picture of Andy McKay walking into Coors Field, and we're like, there we go.
Yeah, maybe we should just stand out at 20th and Blake and wait and see if people are walking in and out.
We just put a camera out in the what is it, the corporate offices entrance that goes in there.
Yeah, Scott actually DM'd me the other day and was talking about he saw someone leaving. He was picking up his mom or something. Saw somebody leaving Coors Field, and I believe
Future GM.
It was past. It was like taking his bags and getting out of there.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so hopefully maybe we'll just hang around Coors Field for the next couple
Probably
of months.
get a lot of news
see what happens
out of that. Yeah. Be the insider standing outside Coors Field. There's worse things to do. Let's talk a little postseason baseball, because we've got just a few more minutes left on this show. One of the interesting things that I saw that was getting a lot of mixed reviews from people nationally. Did you watch the Mariners game where Josh Naylor was blatantly calling out hand signals at second base? Did you see that?
Yes.
Where do you stand on stealing signs?
I love it. I
100%.
think, the Astros have kind of ruined this for baseball, because they're taking it to way too far of obviously having, things in their shirts.
Well, there was technology involved. Yeah, totally different.
Banging trash cans or whatever they were doing. I was 12 years old on second base, telling my batter if it was inside or outside, like back there, and trying to give him the 2, the 4, the curveball, the fastball. That's baseball, dude. Yep. And that will 100%. Never, they're doing everything they can to try to prevent that with PitchCom and all of that. But to me, that's just part of the game. Like, if the catcher's going to set up on one knee inside and just put his glove there and sit down, that's fair game. Yeah, move those 100%. Guys around, get active, find ways to beat that, and I have no issue with it at all.
And if the pitcher has a tell, if the pitcher is tipping his pitches, or he's not covering up his glove when he's in the stretch, and you can see the grips that he's getting on his pitches, that's his fault. That's not on Josh Naylor or insert X player at second. That's not on them. They're trying to win. This is the postseason. What did Adam Amin say? And I actually love Adam Amin as a broadcaster. I'm not a fan of Adam Wainwright and AJ Przinsky, but Adam Amin is good. But Amin said that he was like, it's a they have a gentleman's agreement to not do it so blatantly. And I'm like, brother, it is the postseason. Yeah. Your season's on the line. If there's a chance that I can give my batter an ounce of an advantage, especially with how hard it is to get on base nowadays, I'm going to do it. What are we talking about here? This is professional baseball. This isn't Little League. We're not teaching morals and ethics out here. Go win a freaking baseball game. So, yeah, I'm with you. I was actually shocked. And if you guys in the chat disagree with me, let me know, because I was shocked by the amount of people who were vehemently against what Josh Naylor was doing at second base. And I just... and people who've played baseball. I mean, AJ Przinsky, or it was Adam Wainwright, was like, I don't like that. And I'm like, dude, you played baseball. What are you talking about?
Yeah, to me, that's
part of the
like,
game.
It's like and I don't know the unwritten rules of the MLB. There's actually a book on that I've read a little bit of.
I have
it's kind of
that
an
book. Yeah,
interesting
yeah.
book. I have that as well. But we've never made it to the MLB level. Like you made it to college, I made it to high school. So we're sitting here like knowing that, acting like we know the unwritten rules is obviously not something I'm going to do. But anybody that played baseball in our level, like that's what you did. And in 2011, when I was a senior in high school, we didn't have pitch comm. We had to mix up the signs. We had to do the fake signs. Like I had to move in and out as a catcher. Like that's part of baseball. And to me, it's like, it's insane that you have a guy that's that high of a level, that's future Hall of Famer in Wainwright he's pissed because he's a pitcher. That's why.
That is exactly.
He's pissed because he does, and Pierzynski's pissed because he's a catcher who had to do too much work. That chubby dude had to do too much work behind the plate, moving around.
Yeah.
So they're just pissed because of their position. But yeah, these people, like especially for like teams like the Mariners and the Brewers, and let's just focus on the Mariners because they haven't been here in so long. They need everything they can possibly do. They're catching lightning in a bottle this year. They need to do everything they possibly can to win this series and win the World Series and change the fate of the Seattle Mariners for the past 20 years. It's all fair game, man. Yeah.
These last two comments from Wolfgang, as long as it's live, no videotaping, 100%. If you're doing it in game, good on you. You're out scheming your opponents. And then Scott says, in old school baseball, Naylor would get plunked. Totally okay with that. Part of the game as well, right? If you're going to go steal signs and you're going to go try to get a one-up, then I'm totally fine with the pitcher taking offense to that and saying, "Yeah, I'm going to stand up for myself, and we're going to get a little spicy here."
99 on the chin.
Yeah, and both are totally fine. Those are both part of the game. That's both of those aspects are part of the game, in my opinion. I actually wish guys did that a little bit more. I wish guys kind of stood up. I like old school baseball. Don't get me wrong. I don't have problems with baseball evolving and pitch comms and the pitch clock. I don't have problems with any of that, but I do like a good old school baseball mentality for some of these players. So I thought we would talk about that for a little bit. But we've got a pretty big day of baseball. The Mariners playing Game 5, Skubal versus George Kirby, and the Mariners have the opportunity, if they can beat Skubal in Seattle at home for the second time in this series, it would be if they did it, to win their first playoff series since I was 4 years old.
That's insane.
That is insane. I mean, Rockies fans think they have it bad. We think we have it bad here in Colorado. That's a long, long time. And the Mariners have a chance to do it. Do you think they can get it done against Scoobs? They've beat him, I think, 3 times this year. Do you think they can do it a 4th?
I do. Did we get the announcement for who's starting?
George Kirby.
Kirby. Okay.
Which is good. He'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be another just Christian's what hole is going to be like.
Oh, I'm going to be clenched all night, dude.
Yeah, that thing's going to be watertight.
I'll be sitting up. I'll be in a catcher stance. I'll be in a catcher stance for all 9 innings. I'm hyped. You guys know I love the Rockies, obviously, but I'm hyped. I think the Mariners are the AL West Rockies, right? This is I relate to them. Went to a ton of Mariners games as a kid, so I'm hoping. I'm fingers crossed that the Mariners can pull this one out. Dodgers season continues on after Kerkering just falls apart on the mound. Unfortunate for him. Clayton Kershaw, if there's one thing that's as predictable as ever, it's Clayton Kershaw collapsing in the postseason. Dude has a 4.63 ERA. He's got to be the worst first ballot Hall of Fame pitcher to ever pitch in the postseason from a number standpoint.
Right. Yeah. He just doesn't have it.
He just doesn't show up.
Well, and there's so many.
Gave up 4 runs out of the bullpen.
There's so many players like this. Like, I think playoff baseball is one of those sports where you see guys like, you see guys in the regular season hit like 220, 230, and then all of a sudden, like Ernie Clement, these guys are like 9 of 20, 9 of 12 in the playoffs. Like, and then you see it the other way too, especially with some pitchers where, excuse me, they're just dominant the whole regular season, and it gets to the playoffs and they're not as good. Or like Madison Bumgarner's great in the regular season, decent to really good. Then he gets in the postseason and he's freaking Greg Maddux. There's definitely some postseason.
Yeah, what's your least favorite thing about Nolan Arenado? The fact that he didn't show up in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think one playoff series run, I guess there's 3 games against the Brewers. I think he was like 1 for 14, 1 for 15. You can't have that.
Yeah, no, you can't have
you
that.
like look at the Yankees. They're out. They got kicked by the Blue Jays, who nobody believed in. And you go through their batting order other than Judge, and it's like Austin Wells 1 for 15. Jazz Chisholm hit 1 home run. He was 1 for 11. Like their whole murderers row lineup that they built to be so good, which kind of parlays. I wanted to get to this point of that you had here at the bottom.
Well, and here real quick, we are heading into overtime, so head to thednvr.com to continue the conversation here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can stay where you are, but if you're watching on television, we're going into overtime. Continue.
I would much rather have, would you rather, fun game to play, pitching. Because you look at the whole Yankees lineup, and they struggled to score runs against, not that the Blue Jays are a good staff. I mean, they won the AL East. They're obviously a very good team, but they're not throwing like, you know, a Tariq Skubal at you, a George Kirby, you look at these other aces that you're like, oh my God, like even the last night in the game, I think it's Sanchez for the Phillies. Like he was dominant, and you see these dominant starts. And as a Rockies fan, I wish this wasn't my answer of basically, would you rather have dominant pitching or dominant hitting?
If you could only choose one.
If you could choose one. And to me, if you watch the playoffs and you're paying attention, it's dominant pitching wins 99% of the time. Like these great lineups, unless you get guys hitting home runs and doing those things, like you're just not going to win unless you have dominant pitching.
The would you rather question specifically was, would you rather have elite offense with no pitching or elite pitching with no offense? And I agree with you. And it's tough because we're Rockies fans. We're sitting here saying that the Rockies one day, hopefully, will be a playoff team. And God forbid they become a World Series team. But yet pitching is the most important thing when it comes to the success, at least visually, in the playoffs. And so it's actually why I'm really nervous about tonight's Mariners game, because yes, Skubal has been beaten by the Mariners before, but I don't know if they've got a fourth time in them. I don't know if they can do it that one last time. So
it's back in Seattle.
It is in Seattle. It's going to be electric.
Yeah, because there's been elimination games, but there hasn't been a true
series
series winning game yet.
Tied up.
This team has to win to just play another game. This is win and you move on, win and you're in the ALCS, and lose and you're going home and wondering what you can do to fix your team for next year.
Yeah, I know. Mariners fans can either be on top of the world tonight or in the worst possible place. So we'll see. It's going to be some good baseball. Always fun to talk about good baseball. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I got to head out on the road. So I'm going to wrap things up here on the show. We'll be back on Monday at noon to keep talking postseason baseball, maybe a little Rockies stuff as well. Thanks for watching. This has been the DNVR Rockies podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.